Hello, my dudes. Today, you will see and listen to the story of the blessing of the great river spirit. Another improvised story made up right on the spot, paired with quickly drawn illustrations. So stick around and let's get into the story. Once upon a time, there was a village that lived along a river. It was a small town, or a small village. It didn't have too many people living there, but everyone kind of played a role on keeping things going. So let's just draw a couple more houses. Cute little simple houses just right next to the river. There's a window, maybe a door. There we go. And of course we have to draw the river. It comes from way up here in the mountains. It comes right down next to the village. There we go. One day, one of the boys from the village, who was usually in charge of fishing for the village, decided to go down to the river to try and catch some fish for the village. The river was flowing very strong that day, as it always does, and there was fish in the water that the boy could see, and he knew it would be a good day of fishing, and he would make the villagers very happy. So we'll draw just some dark silhouettes of some fish, and we'll draw our boy here. Something like that. I'm a big fan of little top knots. They're kind of cute to me. And here we go. Here's a little boy. He's getting into position to have a good day of fishing. And there we have it. We have our boy with his bamboo fishing rod. A big smile on his face. He's ready to catch some fish. He's got his line in the water. Just like that. Maybe he wants to catch that big one right there. So he just lets his line sit for a little bit, when suddenly he gets a bite. And his line is tugging and getting yanked under the water. So he quickly pulls back on the line, and it comes out of the water. What came out of the water was a little unexpected, because it wasn't a fish. It wasn't anything that the boy could take back to the village. It ended up being an old shoe. And he just thought, well, that's just not fair. I thought I caught a big catch, and here I am stuck with an old boot. What can I do about this? So he sits there for a little bit, and he wonders what he should do with the old boot. He decides maybe he'll just keep it. So he puts it behind him and just continues fishing. And there's the boot behind the boy now. And he goes back to fishing. Suddenly, he feels another bite. This one feels really big. And the boy says, "Oh my gosh, 2 in a row? What luck." Even though my first bite was a big old boot. So he yanks and yanks and yanks, and splash, it comes out of the water. This time, the boy isn't very happy to see what he's caught. In fact, he's quite scared. There we go. That's his scared face. But why is he scared? Let's find out. At the end of his line, he sees a floating, fallen warrior. People in the village would talk about these type of spirits that would hang out in the rivers of old wars that happened long times ago, and old soldiers that would fall into the river and drown. And here was one floating above the water, his wet clothes dripping, and his fierce eyes looking right at the boy. "You took my shoe," the spirit says. And the boy is terrified, and he remembers the boot that he just fished up, and looks down and sees that indeed the ghost is missing a shoe. How could his luck be so terrible that he would fish up an old fallen warrior's spirit's boot? He says again, "You took my shoe." And the boy says, "I'm very sorry. It was a complete accident. I can return the shoe for you. I have it here." And so he looks behind him to give the boot back, but the ghost reaches forward, his hands stretching, arms stretching out, and wrapping around his throat. Just like this. And he says, "No, you're a thief. You stole my boot from my dead body." And the boy says, "No, sir. No, I promise. I promise that I did not take your boot on purpose. I can return it." And he holds the boot up for him, and he says, "Here it is." And the ghost snatches it away. He says, "You have brought a great curse upon this village. You will never see water run in this river again. You will never catch fish here ever again. You did this for taking my boot. You will be cursed." The boy begins to cry and says, "Please, sir, this river is so important to our village. Is there anything I can do?" He says, "No, there is nothing at all you can do. You have been nothing but a pain to me, and I will curse you. The boy again pleads with the ghost and says, "Please, sir, the village would be ruined without this river. We've relied on it for many years. You can take me, and I will pay the price for the village, as long as you let the rivers run." The ghost thinks a little bit, and then gets very close to his face. His dripping face with decaying skin and a big smile. "If you insist on giving your life, then I will take your life. And if that is the price you are willing to pay, then I will leave the river alone." And here he is, really close to the boy's face. And the boy is so scared, but he knows this was a mistake that he needed to correct. And so he closes his eyes and he prays and says, "Oh, great river spirit, you've watched over my village for many years, and now I call upon you for help. I've made a great mistake. This fallen warrior spirit wants me because I took his boot. It was a complete accident. I had no idea I belonged to a fallen warrior spirit, and now I will have to go down into the river with him. Please take care of my family, and please take care of my mother, and I hope she's still able to get many fish every day, and someone can help her when she needs help." And the boy is crying, and he's ready for the spirit to take him into the river, when suddenly a big splash happens behind the ghost. And even the ghost, he looks back and he says, "Oh, who could this be?" Floating inches above the water was a great shining spirit that came when he heard the call of the boy. And I'm trying to make him look kind of like a Buddha. There we go, something like that. And here he is, the great river spirit came to his rescue. And he says, "Vile spirit of a fallen warrior, I command you to return to your resting place, for you are not meant for this realm, and you are disturbing those that worship me, the river that provides for them." And the spirit screams and starts convulsing and shaking and twisting. But this old spirit here remains nice and calm. He's not scared. He looks very peaceful. And he says again, "Vile spirit of a fallen warrior, I command you back into the river where you belong, and you will not disturb these people ever again." The spirit throws his head back and screams into the sky as he starts contorting and twisting and folding into himself. And he slowly begins his descent into the water. And here he is. That's his hand in the water. And he's splashing, of course, everywhere. There's water everywhere, splashing. And he says, "No, no, I was going to have a slave. He was going to be my eternal slave. He disturbed me. He disturbed me." And he falls under the water. And finally, everything is quiet. The boy looks up at the spirit, tears in his eyes. He's overjoyed. "Oh, great river spirit, thank you so much for saving me. You have been so helpful. How could I ever repay you?" And the boy is very happy. And the great river spirit smiles back at the boy and says, "You've already been doing so much all of these years. You have relied on the river, you and the village, and have brought it a lot of glory and a lot of honor. Please continue to do what you have been doing, and I would be happy to continue to bless you." He says to the boy, "Here, you can have this gift from me. It is the great rod of the river spirit. It will bring you very good luck when you come fishing, and you will never catch another fallen spirit again." And the boy says, "Thank you, great spirit. Thank you so much for blessing me with this wonderful gift." And the great spirit is very happy to serve his followers and those that rely on the river. And the boy takes the gift with great honor and says, "Thank you again." And the spirit raises his hand up, and a light comes from it. And the boy feels the greatest soothing power he's ever felt. And he feels that everything will be okay. And the great river spirit flies back over the middle of the river and sinks back down into the water with hardly a ripple after him. And this was the blessing of the great river spirit. And I hope you enjoyed this story, because the boy and the village lived many prosperous days, and he was very lucky with his fish. and was able to feed the village many, many times. So I hope you enjoyed the story. And if you did, feel free to hit that like button. And if you want to hear more of these types of stories, or see more of this type of drawing content, hit the subscribe button. What a lucky little boy. It got a little scary there at first. But there we are. The blessing of the great river spirit gets a new bow. And I meant a new rod. So thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the story. Feel free to leave me a comment if you want to see any other stories quickly illustrated like this. Otherwise, I like to just improvise a story. So thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.